Hey there, folks. It's not September 10th when you're watching this, with a mere 10 days left in the election. It's actually September 9th. It's the evening of the English language debate. I'm Daniel Fritter with Caliber Magazine. I'm here on Gunvote, the latest episode, with Phil Chow from Canadian Tactical Cowboy Supplies, fellow political addict and follower of all things campaign-related. We both watched the debate, and we thought we would film this episode pretty much immediately after, so we could kind of get the feelings, and we'll post it the morning of. So if anything's come up overnight, I apologize for missing that, but this is the way we're doing it. So here we go. I thought, unvarnished truth, Anime Paul crushed it with answers. She came across super well spoken, but she lacks any kind of actionable policy or actionable party apparatus to get something done. Also, too, you kind of look at it and go, well, you might win 2 seats the way the polls are going, so what can you actually do? In terms of the mainstream parties, Jagmeet Singh came across, I think, also very poorly. He came across quite naive. There was very vague identity politics references to all kinds of stuff, but no real kind of boots on the ground. I'm going to do this to get stuff done. And ultimately, I guess what we're leading up to is, in my opinion, I thought Justin Trudeau was awful, just terrible in the whole debate. And this isn't saying Erin O'Toole crushed it. I think Erin O'Toole did a pretty good job, actually. He did a good job of answering the questions as they were broached. I wish that perhaps he had been a bit more direct. There was a bit more banter. That's where I think Anime Paul and also Yves Blanchette does a great job of. The question is asked, he answers it, and then he fills in with the identity politics, frankly, bullshit afterwards. But O'Toole did a pretty good job, but Trudeau came across as ranty and angry and offensive and sweaty. Let's not forget that. Just very, he felt attacked. It felt like he was always coming off of the back foot, even on questions that Rosemary Barton were softballs. They were not questions he should have been stressed about, and yet he was just, fired up. I was watching it with Courtney, the owner of half of this company, and my wife, who literally said, like, he's yelling at that poor lady. I don't know why. She asked him one question, he's just yelling at her. And I was like, I don't know. He just seems kind of ranty. What do you think, Phil?
I think to call it a debate was rather generous. This was an interesting format. It was basically opportunities to beat up on other candidates. Maybe that's what gains eyeballs. Maybe that's what they focus grouped, and what people obviously want to see the Mulrooney, you had a choice, sir, right? And then it blows up the election.
Just watch me.
Exactly, right? Exactly. Just watch me, whatever, right? And I think that's what this was trying to set up, right? But they're trying to artificially force it. Outcome-wise, I think Anime Paul did well. I think she was ultimately the quote-unquote winner of the debate. It's too bad that her party totally effed her.
Winner only insofar as academically.
Yes.
And that's I guess this is, in some ways, the perverse truth of Canadian politics, is that there is a very, very big difference between academic success of, I have the best argument, I have the best policy, and I formed government.
Exactly. They're two very separate, different things, right?
Yeah.
I think Jagmeet Singh got some brilliant shots in on Trudeau. I think those are going to make the highlight reel and be put up on Twitter and social media. And Erin did really well, and Trudeau did very poorly. But as an analyst, what's the outcome of this? And this is what we're really interested in, right? How does this shift the needle, right? Looking at political Twitter, right? The liberal Twitter is absolutely
never read the comments.
Losing their mind, right? They're just losing their mind at the moment, right?
Yep.
And conservative Twitter says that this is a slam dunk, right? But realistically, did this move the needle, right? And that's what we're really interested in, right? As political analysts, right?
I will admit, it feels like, to use a phrase I love a tremendous amount as an English major, an inflection point. It truly does. I feel like in this election, the stages that people will look at will be, there was the early call and the pre-election kind of campaign run-up up to Labor Day, where the Conservatives did see that 37% polling rise, and we all got very excited. And then the decline towards the more stagnant 30%, 30% LPC, CPC split we're seeing currently. I do feel like the debate did form a bit of, like I said, an inflection point insofar as the messaging that we saw from the party leaders in this debate was not altogether meshing with what I think the parties have been trying to make us think. Now, I will say, I think in Erin O'Toole's case, I'll make an exception that he spoke quite clearly on a lot of subjects. He wasn't asked about guns, more to our particular audience's question. Guns never came up. Now, that was interesting as well, because guns, we were told public safety would be off the table. We were also told foreign affairs would be off the table, and yet somehow the half of the debate was about Afghanistan and China, which was very interesting. But I think Erin O'Toole did a fantastic job of being very clear on the subject asked, but I don't know, the rest of them, they were just so... There was no clarity whatsoever in so many cases. And I wonder if that's where you get into situations of, if it doesn't move the needle insofar as people shifting allegiances, if we're not talking Conservative votes going to the PPC, because apparently by all accounts that's actually an NDP and Green egressive votes towards the PPC. So we're told. I see Phil's look of incredulity, but so we're told. But if it doesn't move the needle in terms of shifting votes, does it move the needle in terms of outcome based on GOTV, get out the vote? Or does Trudeau's frankly piss poor performance in this debate cause Liberal voters to stay on the couch on Monday? Do they go, yeah, you know what, no, I really feel strong, I got to get out there and vote? Or do they go, I watched the debate, he kind of came across like an asshole, I think maybe I'll just stay home?
So this debate definitely did not, I would say, would not energize your low information voter who voted for Trudeau in 2019 and 2015. Did this debate give a reason for those voters who voted for Trudeau in those past two elections, who may be pissed about something else, pissed at Trudeau for something else now? Did this motivate them or forgive them, so that it will give them the reason to go and vote Liberal again? It did not. Most certainly it did not. Did this energize Conservative? Will this energize Conservative voters to go out and vote for Erin? Will it get PPC voters energized to actually go and switch their vote over to Erin O'Toole? I don't think so either.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've been hearing on the street, from Liberal Twitter, from Conservative Twitter, from other strategists, is that the ground game is poor at Liberal headquarters, right? People are concerned about the ground game.
I'll cut in here because I wasn't going to interrupt, but I will admit, you mentioned about previous experiences in the 2011-2015 election, how it's different now. We both worked through the 2019 election pretty closely with campaigns. My take home from 2019 was the ground game was gone. Mm-hmm. Here in Kelowna, to be quite clear, we had Stephen Fuhr, former fighter pilot instructor at Cold Lake. I actually met the guy, decent dude, not a great MP, but good person, to be quite honest. Very interesting. His 2015 effort was huge. Volunteers, door knocking, literature drops, you name it. 2019, yeah, no one. There was no door knocking. There was no GOTV. They literally had no GOTV, and for those listeners wondering what that means, what I mean by that is
volunteers coming
throughout all of this time.
Yeah.
Well, throughout all of time, basically, the Conservative Party is trying to find people that will vote Conservative. They knock on your door, they drop lit, you name it. They find out, oh, you live at this address and your name is blank, you're a Conservative guy, okay. And then on the election day, they'll reach out to you and say, okay, well, we want you to come and vote because you're a Conservative kind of person. That's GOTV. They're getting out the Conservative vote. They're getting Conservatives to come out and vote. The Liberals did none of that in 2019. And I've noticed in this election as well, just based on little things like the performance in local debates, performance on local radio shows and TV interviews, basic things like even just the stupid shit that us political nerds get into, like sign placement and maintenance, you see poor ground game, poor EDA support. And that's where I wonder if this debate, that's where the true story of this debate lands, of everyone's going to talk about the high level. What did Erin, Jagmeet, and Trudeau animate, what did they say about policy and billions of dollars expended? But I feel like the true story is actually at the ground game. Those small EDAs that are meeting in high school gyms, do they see incentive here to continue? Because ultimately, we both have done this and volunteered. That's what wins elections. That's where you win and lose, is people meeting up in those high school gyms, those church basements, you name it. I see Trudeau just losing all of that.
Yeah.
I see him, like 2015, he crushed it. He had millions of people behind him. 2019, barely anybody. Now,
fewer people. And I think 2000 and 2021, I think there's going to be less. But I mean, where is that? I mean, are they losing fewer people in non-competitive ridings? And what does that look like? More importantly, is that loss of energy, is that going to be felt in ridings that actually, quote unquote, matter, right? In suburban Ontario, Quebec, right? I mean, I think we haven't really talked about Quebec, the bloc, how the bloc is doing, because we're not really interested in that in terms of, unilingual Anglos here in Vancouver.
I mean, I'm interested. I mean, I referenced earlier about
the bloc
in the podcast this morning that the CPC needs to be below 20 and above 27. That's where they have to be.
There is a sweet spot, right?
Where are they? Do you know where they are currently in the bloc?
Well,
in Quebec,
I mean,
rather?
that's kind of the big story, right, of it today was François Legault endorsing the Conservatives, basically, right? The Premier of Quebec endorsing, saying that Erin O'Toole would be the best, or the best thing for Quebec would be an Erin O'Toole-led Conservative minority.
And that Erin O'Toole would be easier to work with.
Exactly, right? The problem here is that the Conservatives have a massive structural problem, and I'm ripping this off entirely from two of our friends who work very, very closely in political circles. You know who you are. Is that there is a massive structural problem in with the CPC in Quebec, right? The ceiling is only 15 seats, right? And to get that 16th seat, right, you would have to move that needle so far, right? You're talking about 20, 25 points, right, to be able to actually to win that next seat, right?
And they can't, and gun owners should recognize that more than anyone, because it's the law of diminishing returns. It's why additional gun bans don't work, because you have to spend so much money to support gun bans that prevent crime that could be otherwise prevented by the expenditure of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Of course, right? You would have to, yeah, exactly, right? I mean, basically, the Liberals in the bloc would have to completely collapse, right, for us to basically pick up more than, to get up to 20 seats, right, 25 seats in Quebec, right? So that endorsement from Legault was not great, right, because simply moving bloc votes to Conservative votes will simply will make that barrier for Liberal votes to win certain seats so much higher, all right, or so much easier, all right. So,
what role do you think the announcement, like Legault's support for O'Toole as easier to work with, and I'll say that quite specifically because I saw that in all the headlines, was the early headlines were Legault endorses O'Toole. The later headlines were Legault says O'Toole will be easier to work with. I think there's a distinction between those. I don't think we need to get into that because that's very, very deep political discussion that I don't think our listeners will appreciate. But what kind of role does Legault's endorsement in that fashion play in Anglo Canada? Does it because that's what I've wondered myself. Is Quebec is its own thing.
Yep.
I don't deign to know it because newsflash Anglo. But I do wonder, as a British Columbian, when Francois Legault says Erin O'Toole be easy to work with, I automatically think back to last year when John Horgan was saying, I'm asking Justin Trudeau to close the borders because we're getting too many cases of COVID in across our international boundaries. So it works in BC. Obviously, my riding, likely a safe CPC riding according to current polling, but nonetheless, do you think that plays well, or do you think it just is flat?
I think if you're a conservative, you're going to go woohoo, right? I mean, yeah, Quebec, so
it's more an opportunity to project than anything
right?
else.
It's we're going to win Quebec, right? We're going to win 40 seats in Quebec, right? But unfortunately, the map just isn't there, all right?
We're not going to win Quebec.
But that's the read as a conservative voter when you hear that Legault wants a CPC minority to work with. Does that push 905 Ontario seats? What it does is, I think it energizes. I mean, it comes down to energizes. Yeah, I mean, going back, it energizes your ground game a little, right? Maybe a few points. You drag out a few more volunteers to go knock on some doors, right?
That ain't nothing.
It ain't.
Those volunteers are hard fought, man.
It ain't, right? And just to kind of move this forward is basically. The summary tonight, basically, this is, I don't think anybody, there was no slam dunk moment here, right? We didn't have a total moment here, but.
See, I disagree, but we'll come back to that.
All right, so
I'm just gonna say I think there was a watershed moment this debate.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Honestly, okay, that's what we're gonna agree to disagree about that. But it did definitely disincentivize liberal voters to work hard. I think it did incentivize conservative voters to come out and help the campaign and say, it's this finish line. Let's just drag it over the line. We'll send lots of emails out over the next 4 days, early voting. Come out and we're so close to forming government, right? And it'll motivate a few of those people. But the biggest threat. I mentioned this last time to gun owners is that what happens to the PPC, right? What happens to that PPC vote, right?
So we'll first suck around to my watershed moment.
Let's go around your watershed moment.
I actually think I've not seen anything in this election that I've thought would form the central kernel, I guess. And I hate to bring it up because, as both of us being relatively new dads, me more new than you, the Alan Kurdi photo in 2015 was absolutely the central tenet of that entire election.
Absolutely. That was TSN turning point, right? So,
yeah, that was what people put ballots in boxes for. That was the photo. That's what people were thinking of when they wrote X and put it in a ballot. I don't blame them. It's hugely moving. Having watched that debate and being someone for whom, much like you, and this isn't saying anything that anyone would be surprised to learn, my livelihood is tied to guns. That's just a fact. Let's just not bullshit about that. But yeah, it is. I'm also someone who lives here though, so I'd rather not get shot. And I will say my desire to not get shot trumps my desire to make money because, getting shot, getting money. I feel like 50 Cent might have a quote on that, but
It's the
besides
rapper
the
now,
point.
right? So yeah.
Ultimately, it just feels kind of like I'm not really sure at this point what gun owners are supposed to think of the overall process. I think the PPC, the swell they've seen, especially with younger people, and maybe we can talk about that as amongst 49 and younger, that is the preponderance of support amongst people between 18 and 35. I believe it's 14 or 15, 16%. And then between 35 to 49, it's an additional 16%. They're outperforming the NDP amongst people my age. And that's huge. So I think there's probably a lesson for Erin O'Toole in that, but...
Yeah, I think there's definitely... We're definitely seeing something. I mean, even if you're a non-political person, right? If the only thing that you see is actually is you do go out and vote, but you don't actually listen to you don't listen to political Twitter, right? The only reason why you're listening to this podcast is because you're a gun owner who's casually interested about politics, right? You have to consider, right, where your vote will lie and what impact your vote will have, right?
I mean, obviously, and that's, I think, anyone listening to this, the lesson here, to be very clear, is Phil is skirting the subject that I will address very directly. Go look up your bloody riding.
Yeah.
Figure out who's most likely to beat a Liberal. Like, beat the Liberal in your riding. If it's a CPC person, awesome. Vote for that CPC person to win. If it's looking likely that an NDP person will win, vote for that person. Just anyone but Trudeau is where we're at.
Yeah.
To address that issue head on is anyone but Trudeau. So, unfortunately, that's a lesson in strategic voting. And strategic voting only works if you're well informed. So, if you're listening, get out there, read some polls, 338, Main Street, what Ecos, Nanos, whatever you want to do, just read them and stay informed, because that's the only way that you'll be able to effectively deploy your ballot on September 20th. But what do you think happens? So we're still 10 days out when everyone gets this tomorrow. To be totally honest, I know it feels a bit like the sky is falling because of the current polls, but 10 days is a long time, What do you think happens from here on out? I mean, there's a lot left.
You are going to see a massive scorched earth campaign by the Liberals against Erin O'Toole. You are going to see a massive negative ad. This is, you're probably beyond soldiers in the streets. If anybody remembers that, right? 2004? Or 2000, was it 2004, 2006? Anyways,
no, it was later than 04. I think it was 06.
06, right? We're basically, there was the canceled ad about, soldier. If you elect Stephen Harper, you're going to see soldiers on the street. You're going to see ads like that. Gun owners need to be prepared for that, right? It's basically the gun question is not going to go away, right? It didn't come up in the debate today, right? Everybody went, thank God, right? But it will come up over the next 10 days, right? Gun owners need to prepare themselves. They need to brace themselves for that, right?
And we've seen it come up.
Exactly. They know
every MP.
It's a button that works, right? And they're going to keep on pushing it because they know that it's been effective, right? Whether media actually picks up on it, that's kind of where it is, right? Is the media tired of talking about the gun issue? It seems like that over the last. I mean, they talked about it for 4 or 5 days, right? Today was, it's quieted down yet over yesterday and today, but I mean, I think you're going to see that turned up to 11, or at least people trying to turn that up to 11 over the next from now till whenever, right? Abortion, right? The liberals are going to drop all of their oppo right? They're going to blow their load, right, on Oppo, right? Abortion, all right?
Now,
gun control.
I mean,
everything, all right? So,
although we're sitting at 26 minutes on this recording, it is the post-debate, so we can go a bit long. The one thing I wonder is, I'm sure you can appreciate as a similar political nerd, you drop your Oppo before the debate. You throw them off the game. 4 hours before that debate began is when you want to throw in your biggest monkey wrench. That's when, I mean, if Erin had a 2021 version of blackface, you throw that out at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and you throw Trudeau and his entire campaign into complete disarray. You put him on the back foot answering questions from journalists about this Oppo you've got, and when he rolls into the debate, he's got no prep. On his back foot, he's already flustered, which in this case, we all know Trudeau is bad when he's flustered, to be quite blunt. And it makes me wonder, and the same goes for the opposition parties. Well, not opposition to us. The Liberals will be dropping Oppo on everyone else, the NDP, the Greens. There's no Oppo. There's no Oppo in this election whatsoever. I didn't see the Greens. Jagmeet didn't drop anything about, like, oh, Trudeau this or not. There's nothing. This is like, it's at once the most caustic election that I can remember that has the most wholesome campaigns I've ever seen. And I don't get it. Like, everyone's at each other's throats. People are throwing gravel. Whole handfuls of pea gravel at people, which is just violence we've never seen on Washington campaign. But the campaigns themselves are pretty...
Yeah, I think
friendly, pretty soft.
It's interesting how the arc of this election has been, right? We saw the Liberals throw out abortion really early, second week, right, of this campaign.
Well, throw it out completely, threw it out, and then it was immediately discounted.
Nobody talked about it, right?
And it was done. That was
right. O'Toole managed to inoculate this. I think they're going to try it again, right? Because they try to pin it on
inoculate. Is that like a vaccination thing? Inoculate? I don't understand what inoculate. We'll come back. We can circle around. Anyway,
but anyways, I think they'll start going after candidates, right? Conversion therapy. I think they're gonna go after the candidates, right? Scary social conservative candidates, right? Like I said, they're gonna go after the gun thing again, right? Every conservative candidate who's even remotely, touching a firearm, they're going to throw it up, right? Lots of Liberals holding guns, though. We've seen.
Yeah, there are. That's where. So, did you watch the French? Did you watch the French language debate last night?
Yeah, my shitty French, right? I did watch a bit of it, but yes.
So I watched the translation. I feel like it counts like I watched like 30% of the debate because so much of the debate is inflection and tone and all that stuff that you miss when you get the translation. But I thought it was telling. The last question in the debate in French last night was on guns, very directly. No one wanted to go near it, to be very blunt. Trudeau, O'Toole gave the same speech he's been given about, that's what we're going to do, and Trudeau said, fuck guns, basically. And everyone else kind of riffed off the same thing, but it didn't go anywhere. There was no momentum or inertia behind the question. Like, in the English language debate tonight, there were certain topics that came up where you sensed a social inertia. This is a topical question. I'm a young guy, I'll admit. I'm in that millennial bracket. I'm 36 years old, so I'm an elder millennial, as much as I hate to admit it. We were displaced by the housing crisis, all that kind of stuff. I see all that response with that, but I beyond that, affordability and the younger generation, which is where I think the PPC is seeing their tremendous rise, because as we discussed, they're the only party that's kind of reflexive of that identity in the modern era of identity politics. I don't see anyone really just cranking it out there and going, I'm your dude. It's a bit depressing.
Well, that's, part of the nature of Canadian politics. We don't vote for good ideas here, right? We vote governments out, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And it does, the one the choice of pushing the ballot box question of do we not like Justin Trudeau enough is becoming the ballot box question, right? And it's wavering, right? It is it's who do you?
It's not wavering. No one likes him. No
one likes him, right? But at the same time, do you trust him more than scary right wing Erin O'Toole? And that's what they're trying to frame, right? Over the next 11 days is basically, we know that you probably don't like Trudeau, but he's better than frightening, scary, lying Erin O'Toole, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll start wrapping up, and this is where that comment there about O'Toole, that just crushes my soul, but
that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do, right? And as gun owners, right, and really bringing it back to gun vote, because this is a discussion directed to gun owners, is that brace yourselves, right? Brace yourselves for the hits that are going to come, right? Because they will come. Because they know it's a button that's going to work, right?
I don't stay
steady.
It's not uplifting, Phil. Not uplifting at all. I think you're not wrong, though. The thing I'll say as we wrap this up is do not discount the importance of this election. Do not discount the importance. This is not... I don't think there's a whole lot of people listening to this podcast at this point, or watching this video, as it is, that think the PPC is the way to go. To be totally blunt, I just don't. We've been saying it. I've seen the comments. I don't think it is. I think that's a different sentiment. But you have to show up. You gotta show up. Vote. If you haven't, vote early. Vote often, as I say. If you can vote now, do it.
Yep.
Volunteer. And the thing I would say is, if you're a gun owner listening to this and you're trying to find ways to affect change, discuss the various ways that after this debate, Trudeau just went after everyone on everything. He's got no plan to increase affordability. He's got no plan to increase respect for women in the military and prevent sexual assaults. He's got nothing. He's had 6 years, and to be completely crass, he's fucked it up from day one. I mean, the guy legalized pot. It took him forever, and it still sucks. Like, how do you screw that up? Like, it's just, I mean, the guy is selling drugs and losing money. I don't know what more you need to know about the guy's brain than that. Like, it's that simple. But that could also just be me emotionally responding to the debate tonight. That's entirely possible. So, what's, to completely change gears, what's new at the shop? What's, cool gun in the shop? Any new John Wick stuff showing up?
No, because we can't find anything in the States anymore, right? If I could get my hands on it, we would sell it, all right? So
the buying craze. What's coming up? I think
never ending.
Whatever you can kind of.
Yeah, it's whatever we can get our hands on. Really, when it comes down to it, Tyrant seems to be doing really well. The build your own Glock thing, right? The polymer 80 stuff, slides, everything like that. Everything seems to do well. PPC. Not the People's Party, but pistol caliber carbine, PCC.
PCCs. Yep.
I've been in politics way too long, right?
Same thing.
Exactly, right? People tricking out their Ruger PC9s.
I gotta get one of those. I've been planning to get one I wanted a PC9 for
great guns.
Well, when they first came out, I wanted one because I've got a 1022 takedown, which it's right there.
That one.
It's actually it's my wife's. That's the gun that got her into shooting. Was we camped at this resort, which beautiful place at the wintertime. Sadly, has been shut down. I think from a human rights complaint because they got bought by some guy that was super racist and didn't like certain people staying there. So. But it was a biathlon track. It was a cross-country ski place. So they had a biathlon range on the property. And 1022 takedown is money on that kind of setting. And every time I've seen those PC9 carbines with that same style of takedown, I've thought, like, if there's ever been a his and hers gun combo, I mean, I've got the hers. Why don't I own the his? Like, what's wrong with me at this point?
I'll sell you one.
Well, do you have one?
Yeah, I have the one 1022 on a backpacker stock. Magpul.
I know. I need a PC9. I've got the.
PC9.
I need a
okay,
PC9.
yeah. The PC9. Yeah. I think we've got a couple sticking around.
Okay.
We can check it
might
out.
have
We'll
to,
talk about it, right? So
we can chat. I like those.
But yeah.
Yeah. So
Canadian
obviously that's Phil, give your plug. Phil, give your plug. I won't interrupt.
For all your firearms parts and accessories, Canadian Tactical Cowboy Supplies, ctcsupplies.ca. We've definitely run the course of this podcast.
Okay. And I am Daniel Furter from Caliber Magazine. If you want to support what we're doing here, that is calibermag.ca/subscribe. Get yourself a subscription to the magazine. It's 6 issues. We will send that directly to your door if you have the appropriate and Canada Post approved regulated mailbox, apparently, as I've learned in the last week. That has been Gunvote for actually September 10th, even though my calendar says 9th because it was the debate today. Phil, what if a gun owner is saying it's 10 days to the election? What can I do to keep my guns from being crap? What do you say?
Advanced polls are open tomorrow, Friday, September 10th, 11th, 12th, Monday the 13th. Go out, vote.
Tomorrow being today.
Tomorrow being today.
We're into that
being
world.
Friday, vote Saturday, vote Sunday, vote Monday. Go now, vote. You know, if you're listening to this podcast, go out and just put the ballot in. I don't care. Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yep, for sure.
Just do it.
Yeah, so go vote. And before you vote, check your polls. If you're in a riding where there's someone capable of displacing a Liberal, vote for them. My tip would be take a look at those polls. Check out the aggregates. Take a look at your local riding. Get informed. Find out who is most likely to win, what their stances are. Ultimately, as we've said, this is a case of anyone but Trudeau. So, you might have to put your own feelings aside and put the greater good ahead of how you feel. But take a look. Other than that, 10 days left. We're coming down the final stretch for probably the future of guns in Canada. So do not misunderstand the importance of this moment. Do what you got to do. If some stuff happens overnight, I will probably have an updated video today in this new time weird world. Long story short, we will probably see you tomorrow with some updates because we're getting close and there's just too much to cover. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice night or a day, whatever. Jesus, this time change, man. What the hell? Watch the debate, enjoy, stay informed, get off your ass. There's only 10 days left, man. Like, everything changes. Have a great Friday.
Have a good Friday.
Yeah, there we go. Enjoy. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.